for me, the biggest difference in those two types of producers is purely just a decision. That's it. Like you said, the difference is like 2 applications a week, right? 8 to 10 or like 8 to 12, depending on the size of the app. Like it's literally just a decision.
I'm like, what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? Live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'm a live at the death. So what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? And live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'm a live at the death. Yeah.
All right, welcome everybody to the Living Hope Agency Call. This is episode, I believe, 7 of the Road to Hall of Fame training series. We've been having these Road to Hall of Fame pop-up events all over the country. I just got to have the pleasure of spending some time with Jake here in Vancouver, Washington a couple of days ago. And he was the number 2 producer in FFL last year. He helped over 1,200 families on his own pen. He has built a huge team. His goal is to hit board member this month, and he should do it, as well as continue to go out there and lead from the front. So Jake, kind of the way that this call works is we really talk about, there's this goal of Hall of Fame, which is 400 families for anybody who doesn't know it. And I say this on every call. Mike Curry, he really coined this phrase that Hall of Fame is not a skill set goal. Hall of Fame is a consistency goal. Can you learn how to help 10 families? And then can you do it consistently for 52 weeks? That's all it is. You don't have to be that great at this business, but if you can learn that, you can be a Hall of Fame producer. So we talk about your background. We're going to talk a little bit about the mindset of a Hall of Fame producer, and then dig into some practical phone in-home skills. And then we're going to open up for a Q&A. So if you guys are on here, make sure you start thinking of some questions. And don't ask underwriting questions. Don't ask, where can I find the quote tool? You get number 2 producer and the entire company on the call. So let's think of some good ones. So Jake, I'd love if you could just start us off with telling us your background, where you come from, where you live, and just how you got started in FFL and what that experience was just to get started.
100%, bro. So grew up in Montana, 12 brothers and sisters, heavy sports background. I got into insurance in 2018. With a captive agency. And I kind of hit my ceiling there pretty quick. I actually saw a post from Easton Patton talking about, kind of the commission, the money that he was making here at Family First Life. I didn't think it was real, but I did go to college with him, right? So I just reached out to kind of like ask for clarity. And the conversation escalated from there. That was like, February 2022 or 2020, excuse me. And then went through contracting in April and then started full-time in June of 2020. So that was kind of how I got here, man. Social media post.
I love it. Well, I bet there's a lot of people on here who found out about this from social media, which is awesome. So you came into this business, and was this something you already had some previous experience from, a practice company? So was it something that translated over really easily, or did you have to kind of unlearn some of the habits that you had from a previous company coming over here?
Dude, so if I'm being honest, I was like pretending to sell life insurance at my other company. Like we had it, but it was fully underwritten, and my comp was, 43%. The first one I tried to sell was like an $80,000 a year annual premium index universal life policy. And I knew nothing about an IUL. I was just like, dude, you make a lot of money and like, this is good. So like, please buy it. But no, I was doing more so like the Jake from the other company that we don't talk about, right? Home auto, farm ranch, small business, stuff like that. So not a lot of life insurance experience.
Okay. And what was that like coming here? And the simple psychology of the sale that we have here, we have someone who raised their hand, they filled out the form, they said, come help me. Do you feel like you maybe even overcomplicated the sale with some of the things from your previous company?
Dude, of course I did. We had a 3-meeting close. We had to meet with the client 3 times before we closed, gather information to present at the next one, gather information to present at the next one, gather information to close. I actually got in trouble a few times for closing, like on the spot. I was like, what? I'm starving over here. I'm trying to make a couple of bucks. But yeah, man, it's insane to wrap your head around unless you're here. I mean, we're truly spoiled, so I did not believe that it was a real thing until I came over here and put it to use. Wow.
That's incredible, man. So such a blessing to be here. Talk a little bit about just that journey to Hall of Fame, what it really looked like from a schedule and a structuring standpoint, as well as just, if you could talk to someone on here who's brand new. Like, I really think the question that we always ask is, what's the difference in mindset and willingness to fill your schedule from an average producer to a Hall of Fame producer? Average producer maybe helps 8 families a month. Hall of Fame producer helps 30 to 40 families a month. What's that difference in mindset and that difference in willingness to work?
Man, so I didn't even know that was really a thing when I was first getting rolling. Like, I had no idea. I was just going out and trying to get it and get through that learning curve. For me, the biggest difference in those two types of producers is purely just a decision. That's it. Like you said, that the difference is like 2 applications a week, right? 8 to 10 or like 8 to 12, depending on the size of the app. Like, it's literally just a decision to either like work 1 extra day or dial for 1 extra hour on each dial day. And like, that's it. That's it. I mean, there's a compounding effect to that too. Like, ask yourself, like, who doesn't want to make like an extra or help, an extra like 100 families, right, over the course of a year? Like, that's not going to hurt anybody.
So from a scheduling standpoint, I know that one thing that you really harped on at the last Road to Hall of Fame training were your 1, 2, and 3-star appointments. I would love if you could just share that concept with everybody and how you fill your schedule and how you make sure that you're not booking bad appointments and head faking yourself with activity that's not really real activity.
Right. So obviously I had to learn this one the hard way, or else I would not have started looking for answers here. But I just use a 1, 2, or a 3-star system when booking appointments, and I still go out in the field. So the first star is you call the client up and they just got to know who you are, why you're calling, what you're going to do, and how you're going to do it. That's all 1 star. Pretty easy to get that out of your mouth before you get hung up on, right? The second star is you go through their schedule and you pin down a time that works for them and you guys both agree on it. The third star is all the decision makers are going to be there. So like the husband and wife, or if it's just a single guy, like it's just him. But the whole objective is to book your schedule up with 3-star appointments. That's it, right? So I run a 11 appointment per day schedule, 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., every hour and 15 minutes. And for every single 2 appointments that I have, so like 8 a.m. and 9:15, I'll have what's called a floater appointment. It's just a backup appointment for both of those appointments. So like if my 8 o'clock is a 3-star, I'm going to it, of course. My 9:15, maybe it's a 2-star. And my floater appointment's a 3-star. Like, I'm going to go to my floater appointment instead. Just to put the ball in my court, all the time.
No, that makes a lot of sense. You're definitely putting the activity in. You're putting the activity in your favor. And you mentioned that you do 11 appointments. So 11 appointments a week. That's 44 appointments a week. We talk about 30 appointments a week. So with 44 appointments a week, you don't even have to be very good. With 44 appointments a week, you can definitely help 10 families. So for you, I mean, just right off the bat, it just seems like it was just 100% an activity thing. So, I guess talk to just the new agent on here who's looking and they're just wanting to know, how important is activity and the results following? Because when someone just focuses on the results, sometimes the desperation comes, but what can just focusing on activity and making sure you have the most amount of appointments do for you?
I mean, that just erases, all doubt, right? I mean, you put the preparation in, you put the time in, and if you just focus on your activity, you're never going to get bogged down about like the results that you're not getting, or even the results that you are, because it's just as easy to, wake up on the wrong side of a loss, or a win, just like a loss. It can like go to your head and you can think like, maybe like you're a month in, like this happened to me, speaking from experience. I'm a month in, I just did, X amount of coverage in force in my first month. I don't need to start down at 7:30. I'm going to start down at 8:15, and then you do the same thing the next dial day, and then you get smacked in the head with a couple of chargebacks, so activity is really everything, man, but just like staying consistent no matter what the results are.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good transition into this next question, which is regardless of the ups and the downs, how do you stay level in your attitude?
I think just understanding the numbers and how they play out, like I'm not going to sit down and like tell anybody that I've ever went out in the field and like never sold anything. Like I totally have. Like I've went out and got like a goose egg on like a Friday or a Saturday, and I've had bad days in the field, but I've never had bad weeks, and especially not a bad month. So as long as like, if you have 40 appointments, 4 weeks straight, like I don't care what anybody says, like you're not going to have a bad month.
That's a fact. And what kind of leads, how much leads are you needing to purchase on a dial day for you to get to a point where you have 44 appointments a week?
Man, so I'd like to have between 60 to 100, maybe 120, like each dial day. And I'll take any lead. I feel like, with the exception of like the Spanish leads, because I can't speak Spanish, or else I would try to. But I feel like I've sold or protected families off of every single lead type we have available, at least every type that I could find.
I love it, man. So if you're taking 60 to 100, 120 leads and you're turning that into, 22 appointments off of that, that's a pretty high set ratio. So I'm assuming that you're dialing these leads pretty hard. And I know that we've talked about it. You don't have a dialer either. You're someone that you don't trust someone to set appointments for you. You want to make sure you set your own 3-star appointments yourself, because no one cares about your appointments more than you are. And I feel the exact same way. But do you have any type of strategy through going through? Do you dial through at one time? Do you triple dial? Are you dialing stacks of 20? Is there anything special that you do to get a hold of so many people?
Dude, it's super boring and probably not the response you want to hear. I just don't stop until I'm done. like I don't organize my leads a certain way. Like I just have all like the new ones, in one pile, and then like old ones or ones that I haven't got a response from in the other one. And I'll just go top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom till it's done.
So top to bottom until it's done over and over again. What's the most dials you think you've ever done in a day?
By hand?
Either.
Like triple. I mean, like phone burner. Obviously this was not a very good dial day because I had like so many calls on there. It was like 860 on phone burner. But I mean, probably half that, right? Reasonably by hand.
Sure. Absolutely. So I think just the whole idea behind this is a Hall of Fame producer. They understand that if I don't have appointments, I'm out of business. So at the end of the day, our job is to fill our schedule with appointments of people who've raised their hand and go to their house and help them. And you guys are going to find, pretty quickly that there's going to be a percentage of people that when you show up, they said, hey, basically, here's my driver's license and the check. I'm ready to get some insurance. Here's what I want, and help me. And then you're going to have a percentage of people that say, I got my arms crossed and I'm skeptical and I'm not going to buy from anybody unless you're Sean Mike. And then you have a few people in the middle that they just need to be educated. They need to be led. They need to be guided. They need to be directed. And if you can learn how to work that middle group, that's how you go from, showing up and closing 2 out of 10 to, closing, 6, 7, 8 out of 10, by improving that skill set. And I think that does come with repetition. I know in a year and a half, I've probably sat on, 1,500 appointments, and, in a year and a half, I think I've protected close to 700 families. You protected 1,200 families last year. And I can't even imagine the incredible amount of appointments you probably sat on, well over 1,000 appointments. So I think it's just important for everyone to note that you have somebody, we talk about, get to 100 appointments as quickly as possible. Now, a Hall of Fame producer is going to get to 100 appointments in 2.5 weeks. And a average producer, they're going to stretch out that 100 appointments for as long as possible. And they're going to stretch it into 12 weeks. And now, they did 30 appointments for the month. And, you look at someone who does 100 appointments in their first 3 to 4 weeks versus someone who stretches it out to 12 weeks, who's going to learn faster? Obviously, the person who decided to condense the time frames. So I guess for you, you obviously did that. You condensed the time frames, you learned as quickly as possible. And then, you realized the activity was the most important thing. As we kind of transition here, I think the most important thing really is the phones. What is kind of the dial day mindset for you? Do you have any type of a day of routine, your pregame ritual? What are you doing the night before, the day of, to get ready for a successful dial day?
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, all the best dial days that I've had, my leads are organized the night before, so I don't have to touch them. I just literally have to, open up phone burner and then hit start dialing, and then we rip. But I mean, before that, man, I do like to, like we've all seen like Rocky, right? I like to go get my inner Rocky on, that Rocky cut scene when he's going out running, naturally probably like a little bit more introverted. So I like to pump myself up a little bit on the phone to kind of get myself in just the right mindset so I can go and attack the phones.
I love it, man. I love it. So we'd be remiss if we didn't hear a little bit of your phone script. Every phone script, guys, is pretty much the same, whether it's myself, Jake, Mike, Sean Mike, it doesn't really matter. We all have a very similar phone script in regards to the psychology behind what we do. Hey, here's who I am. Here's why I'm calling. Hey, confirm a piece of information. Once we confirm a piece of information, confirm what you were looking for. And then at that point, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's how it works. Let's lock down a time. Let's tie it down. Look forward to meeting you and helping you. So I'd love if you could just walk us through a real basic phone script, just so we can get maybe some word tracks from you. People can hear your tone and your pace.
Gotcha, dude. So I guess like everyone dials into the internet lead. So I would just be like, hey, Jamie, this is Jake. I'm your case manager here, underwriting department. Okay, so it looks like you've been looking around for some quotes on life insurance. I actually can't do anything like this over the phone. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I just need to verify an address that you may or may not have ever lived at before. 123 Cherry Hill Grove. Okay, and I actually need to drop off this information packet. Now, Jamie, hold on a second. I'm really, really busy. Okay, but I don't want to forget you here. You're currently retired, correct?
That's correct.
Got it. So barring any emergencies or anything crazy happening, I can actually swing by and get this out to you tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. Is there any reason that wouldn't work for us for about 10 minutes to get this knocked out?
I might have a doctor's appointment tomorrow.
Gotcha. And what time does that start up?
About 9:15.
Perfect. So I'm going to be short and sweet. 8 will be awesome. Do you drink coffee in the morning?
Yes.
Got it. So I can swing by tomorrow right around 8 o'clock. I'll have some fresh coffee with me. I'll see you then.
Okay. So short and sweet.
Yes.
So you're pretty much off the phone in a minute or less.
Dude, if I can do it in under a minute, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Because obviously there's different philosophies. I'm a 4-minute phone script guy. And then you've got the 30-second to a minute phone script guys, and they all work. I think the number one thing I can kind of take away from that is just the assumptiveness. And, you're saying things like, hey, and I'll have you off the phone here in 30 seconds. Hey, just wait a quick second, because you're rushing them off the phone before they even have a chance to rush you off the phone. But you're super assumptive in regards to I'm coming over. So for you, what would you say would help the newest agent be successful on the phone? Is it the assumptiveness? Is it a specific word track? What's like some tip or trick that you do on the phones that you could pass on, a transferable sales idea that could help someone get better on the phones today?
And honestly, I think your script is like kind of irrelevant. To me, like your script is your sword, but like your posture is like, the way that you're swinging it and like the battle tactics you're using while you're swinging the sword. Right. So just increase your posture. And by that, I just mean like call them like with some authority, with like zero doubt in your voice, and call them and tell them what to do. Like if your job, if you're at the public pool, right, Jamie, and you are a lifeguard and someone's drowning in the pool in front of you, you're not going to wait for their response. Like, you're not going to say like, hey, can I jump in and save you? Like, dude, they're already drowning. You're just going to jump in and save them. So like attack it like that, because they did already fill out a lead. Like, we don't need to ask our permission to do our job.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the biggest things that I struggled with in the beginning is I was waiting for them to give me permission to continue on with the phone call. Hey, Jake, this is Jamie giving you a call back about that, life insurance inquiry you made, and I'm like waiting. I pause, waiting for them to be like, yeah, I remember filling that out. Come on over. You can't pause. It's just, and my job is to get this information out there to you. Guys need to confirm an address. Is this correct? Yep. All right, perfect. Keep moving. It's just, I'm trying to get them to answer a question to maintain control. And then I'm keep moving. Hey, here's who I am. Here's what we're doing. Here's why you filled it out. I'm assuming, here's what we're going to do. Here's how it works. 8:15 work. All right, perfect. I look forward to meeting you and helping you. Just super, super simple. So, objections. What was the number one objection that you got when you were first getting started on the phones? And, or what's the number one objection you see your new agents get on the phone? How do you help them overcome it?
Where are you from?
The benefit center? Where's the benefit center? What's the address?
Right. So, I mean, you can say something like that, but just like give yourself a title that you can say easily, and like kind of like proudly. You can just say like, hey, I'm an underwriter assigned to your case.
Mm-hmm.
Just something like that, just real short and sweet, and just breathe or like breeze right past it. But the mistake that lots of people make is like, hey, Jamie, I think I'm with the underwriting department here in Maricopa County. They're going to be like, wait, what? Where are you from? So whatever title you give yourself, like if you don't feel comfortable saying you're at the benefit center, then don't say it. You're an underwriter. Like, hey, I'm the underwriter assigned to your case. I got the request you filled out and sent my way for more information on life insurance coverage.
Confidence in everything, guys. Absolutely everything. Yep. So the in-home, the in-home's really where, you thrive. You're able to drive some super large premiums, a lot of value. Give us your open. So knock, knock, you're on the front door, shoes on or off. We just got to the table. You've got the lead card in front of you, your state license. Walk us up through the setting of the table right before you're going to start asking questions.
Dude, so I don't even set the table, man. I pull my license out, and it just plays back to the psychology of being assumptive. Like, I want to put a policy on you, and I want you to talk about your policy within like 2 seconds of me being there. So like license is out, so right to business. So Jamie, what do you want your policy to do for you? Like, I don't care what type of lead it is. Like, it's still a policy. It's still gonna work in every lead. What do you want your policy to do for you?
I want to make sure my wife and son are taken care of.
Okay. And I mean, do you mean like financially? Are you like the sole breadwinner of the house?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any chance that your wife would be able to pay the bills if something happened to you?
No chance. She'd have to go back. She could figure it out, but she definitely would. It'd be really hard.
Gotcha. So we definitely need to be looking at a total payoff if I'm understanding you correctly, and then most likely some income replacement. That sounds appropriate. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely the income replacement. I think that's the most important thing.
Okay. And Jamie, what's your wife's name?
Katie.
Katie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your son's name?
Nehemiah.
Nehemiah. Okay. So Jamie, we're just going to be basically just building a survivorship plan today. If I understand you correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, for Katie and Nehemiah. Just no matter what, if, when, how something were to happen to you, that they're going to be okay. They don't lose the house, nothing like that. Correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Gotcha. Do you have a monetary value attached to that, Jamie?
I don't know. I feel like 250 grand will do it.
Okay. How much do you owe left on the house?
Like 140.
140. And what are you making per year? I mean, this is a pretty nice house. You must be doing pretty well.
Like 75 a year.
Okay. 75K. And how old is your son?
He's less than 1 year.
Okay, so safe to say he's probably going to get more and more expensive as he gets older and older, right? More food, bigger clothes, more stitching.
That's
right?
a fact. Yeah, that's a fact.
Okay, right. So at 75K a year, we probably want at least, I mean, most people do like 3 years of income replacement. So that'd be 150,000, right? So immediately that's going to bring us up to 290, right? But then what about like maybe a little inflation cushion, just an additional cushion for Katie here as Nehemiah grows and gets older. Maybe he wants to get involved with sports. You probably want to make sure he has like every opportunity moving forward to just kind of attack like every interest he has. Is that right?
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay. So we're starting at 290 instead of 250, as long as we're both on the same page. And then we can just have like maybe a little floating $100,000 opportunity basket for Nehemiah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be looking at 390,000. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to run through my client worksheet. That's it. But I mean, I just grabbed all the information I needed right there to close you within like 5 minutes.
Yeah. And you just jumped me from 250 to 390 here pretty quick. So, I mean, it makes sense how you're going ahead and you're building up the value, because it's not, hey, here's what you get. It's not, hey, $250,000. What can the 250 now 390? What can it do for you? And I know this is something you mentioned at the Vancouver Road to Hall of Fame event. You build this thing up of, hey, this is going to be $100,000 basket for Nehemiah. This is going to be money for inflation. This is going to be money to make sure the rest of the house is paid off. This is going to be 2 to 3 years worth of income replacement. And then you mentioned something about how if the price ends up being too high, you take away one of those benefits. Could you kind of explain that for us?
Sure. So it's like the same psychology, like when you walk into Costco, like right when you walk into Costco, all the expensive electronics are going to be right there. And, subconsciously that, supposedly justifies the price for the rest of the store past the electronics to like be cheaper, which they're not cheap, But so I'm still going to show you 390 because we came to that plan together and you liked it. You liked what every single like component of that 390 was for, like the purpose of it. So I'm still going to show you 390. And then when you tell me it's too expensive, instead of just decreasing the price, I would actually take away like a year of income replacement. So now Katie doesn't have 3 years of income replacement. She has 2. Or we can take $50,000 out of Nehemiah's, opportunity basket, which is going to bring you down to 340,000. And for that, the price is X. Right. So you always want to take away you want to add value, but then remove value before you just drop the price. Because then if you just drop the price, like everything that you built means nothing.
That's huge. I mean, that definitely has some light bulbs going off for me, because it's just like we build up the value, we remove the value, we sell on the value, not the price. We also are going to downsell on the value, not just based on the price, because anybody can just say, hey, 270 is too expensive for you. How about 220? Or it hit a little bit different when I'm putting myself in the shoes of that scenario. And I'm like, $50,000 out of my son's opportunity basket, 1 year less of income from my wife. Okay. I guess maybe if it's that important to me, I could pull another $60 out of my account. I can make that
Mm-hmm.
work. So that definitely hits different, man. That's really, really powerful. I really do like that. So now, what's your closing statement? So you put it down on the paper. How do we start filling out an application? What is your closing statement to get them to go and move and to start an application?
Dude, I just like to be like for lack of a better reference here, I guess just like a lion in the grass in the safari. Like if you jump out too soon and there's like a herd of buffalo running in front of it, you're not going to eat. Your cubs aren't eating back at home, right? So I just want to stay down, man. I'd like just be super casual about the whole thing. I would just get right into the application nonchalantly and just start asking you the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if they don't lift their head, like I'm not going to stop and like over explain anything.
Yeah.
And when most of the time, if it's like that, they're going to stop and like ask some questions, like when you get to the routing and account information.
Okay.
So you just want to be
Jake, why do you
super
need my
casual.
routing and account number?
Right. So Jamie, we're going to send cash in with this application. If you are approved, this first payment's going to come out in the next 48 hours or so. Okay. We already said here that we're going to be taking $50,000 out of Nehemiah's, opportunity basket. I don't think we should do any more. Okay. Let's get your foot in the door, see if we can get you approved. And then you can add that 50K back. You do have 30 days to add to your coverage or take away from your coverage, worst case scenario, but I know we don't want to do that. Okay, so I need your routing and account information. If you want to go ahead and grab that, I'm just going to answer some questions here in email.
And then you just go right back to the application. If they get up from the table to go grab it, you got the sale.
Game over.
And if they don't get up from the table, you're going to have to probably slow down, re-explain the process one more time. And that's kind of my philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's not, I don't have any fancy word tracks really to overcome objections. My way of doing it typically at the end is slow down, re-explain the process again, slow down, re-explain the process again, logically, and then slow down and re-explain it from an emotional standpoint. Hey, logically, This is what we said. Go grab your checkbook and your driver's license. Okay. Now emotionally, this is what we said. Go grab your checkbook and your driver's license. And that's just typically at least the way that I do it. I don't have any, fancy, hey, we're going to go ahead and submit it just to see if you can get approved. And, they may or may not take the money. It's just, hey, if you get approved, they're going to withdraw this first premium. Like I've never been the guy who tried to be, super slick or fancy. I just think that never worked for me. It's, hey, why do you need my routing and account number? So you can pay for it, Jake. And let's look back.
Exactly.
Down,
Yeah.
So,
I'm the same way, dude. I mean, the emotional aspect of the sale is the face value and what it's for. And then the logical aspect is like, if I do get a lot of flack right there, clearly I went through something too fast. Mm-hmm. So I either have to go back to like their income and how it's like actually going to fit in there and like make sense moving forward, or like come back to the why and the emotionality. That's why it's really great for, like, if you're not asking for your beneficiaries' names, you're messing something up.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Okay. Last tip on how do you cement the sale? So our goal obviously is to minimize chargebacks. Our goal is for them to want us to be their agent for life, for nobody to come behind you and replace your policy. How do you cement that sale?
Man, until I met you down there, I like what you guys do with the red folders. I think we're going to start incorporating that. I really like that look because, like something that you verbal, because I only do verbal. Mm-hmm. I only do verbal. So I like the fact that, it's red. They can find it easily. They can actually hold something. They feel concrete. Cause I mean, life insurance, all they get is a promise. It's not like they get like a big, like shiny object. Mm-hmm. But what I have done up until this point is I just I address afterburn, like buyer's remorse. Mm-hmm. So like Jamie, you got approved. So when this policy, when this first premium comes out, that's, $875, thank goodness you love your family so much per month. Comes out in the next 48 hours, how are you going to feel?
I mean, I'm feeling a little bit nervous, to be honest. That's a lot.
Okay. Do you like what it's for and what it does?
Well, yeah, of course. But it's just,
okay.
Yeah. It's a big bill to add.
Okay. Obviously we wouldn't have put it in place because we can't put anything in place that's outside of your budget, right? We know we're good there, but it's a little bit more than what you are currently spending. That's just purely out of your love for Katie and Nehemiah. But what are the 4 components that we put in place and what is this for specifically? Like, I want you to sell it back to me to really, really explain it. And if you don't know it, like, I'm going to sit there again, like this, $1,000 or $100,000 is for the opportunity basket as it grows, $150,000 is for income replacement for 3 years. $140,000 is going to pay off the house. Like, I really want to slow down and let them know what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
But then outside of that, I'm going to snap a picture with them and text it to them from my phone and save that as my contact information. And just like let them know that, for better or worse, like I'm with them for life. So just call me if you guys need anything, like I'm a call away.
That's it. I'd be afraid to cancel a policy with you, man. You're very smooth, calm, confident, and very authoritative. I think that's important because at the end of the day, Sean talks about how you need someone that you feel like is going to stand up for your family at the end of the day. So that confidence is so important. So let's go ahead and jump into some agent Q&A. So guys, if you have some questions, I know you do, please go ahead and post them in the chat here. We've got a couple right now, and kind of as we start going through them, I hope a lot more are coming through. This one is from John Booker. He is out in Indiana, I believe, Ohio, actually. What's your strategy when it comes to deciding where you want to run business, what counties you run? Do you just take a few and run them often, or you focus on larger urban areas? What's your lead and geographic game plan week to week?
Man, you're probably way smarter than me, dude. I just don't think about it to that extent. I'm like, dude, if they have a lot of leads, like I'm just going to go there and run some business. I mean, for real,
Yeah.
I don't break it down too much like that. If they have the number of leads that I'm going to need for that next dial day, like I'm hitting it.
Okay. And have you done a lot of travel trips? Because obviously you're from Montana, so you kind of had to.
Yeah. I mean, you can't sell life insurance to horses, and there's only like so many people, so you kind of got to look elsewhere. That's why I went out to Columbus, Ohio. I mean, it's surrounded by, 10 major hubs, between Cleveland, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Louisville. So I know within like 3.5 hours, I can be in like any big hub surrounded by millions of people. You just can't lose in that situation. But yes, I had to do travel trips all the time.
So did you find that you sold more policies in the urban areas or in the rural areas to the farmers?
At first, of course, it was the rural areas because, I mean, that was like my comfort zone, coming from Montana. When you're getting asked if you're a police officer like more than one time in a day, you're probably in a different place than you normally are in. But I mean, those started to be like my best areas, dude.
Okay. I love it. This is from Mike Curry. How do you structure your schedule to be able to grow a big agency and sell it at a high level at the same time?
I mean, just doing everything with your team, dude. Down with your team. You're running business with your team the same way that they're running business. You can answer questions on the fly. I don't think it ever gets like less chaotic. You just learn to be like a little bit more efficient in the chaos. So you can just like kind of spin a couple more plates, if you will, at one time.
Okay. This one's from Joseph Whipple. What is your typical lead mix each week, and how many are you trying to have of each kind to hit your appointment goal?
Dude, so I like to have I don't care if it's mortgage or final expense. I do like to have some direct mail locked out. But I mean, of course, that's a terrible business model to solely rely on because you never know when they're coming in. They're not always available, right? So you have to use some alternative lead resources. So I love the internet life lead 1 month, right? Because the swarm of everybody calling them is kind of like dive down a little bit. And I mean, they're $4, dude. So $400, you can get 100 of them. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. If you're dialing all day long, dude, you can fill up any schedule with that lead flow right there. And they're everywhere. Love it.
This one's from Lisa. What do you do to address a new chargeback? So you wake up and you've got a nice, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 notification from Americo that a policy or two fell off the books. What do you do? What's your mindset? Or maybe how would you coach a new agent who maybe hasn't weathered as many storms as you, to how they would overcome to go to work and kind of realize that chargeback's not a huge deal?
I would just say, man, just own up to it and just call them. Like that's sometimes you feel like if you're emotional about it, like, I mean, get over it. Cause I mean, that's going to happen quite a bit, but I mean, just face it and just call them like, hey, what's going on? Like Jamie, we put together an awesome bulletproof plan. Like I still remember, exactly what each component of this plan was for. I do remember some apprehension as I was leaving the house about the $873 a month payment. Is that kind of what that's from? Was that a little bit too much to bite off?
Yeah, that was a little too much.
Right. So, I mean, then I would just kind of schedule another time to like come back and, put something in place that's a little bit more practical.
Yeah.
Just face it head on.
I've kind of learned that you're never going to save anything solely over the phone. If you have an opportunity to go back in person, hey, no problem. Jake, totally understand, you were a little bit apprehensive. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get that taken care of. I'm going to have to come back out, have you sign a couple things, go over some different options. I'll be out there Tuesday. I got an 8:15 or an 8:45. Which one do you want? And then you sit down at the table, hey, Jake, what happened? You just let him talk. Hey, dude, 875 was just way too much. Gotcha. All right. But XYZ was still important for you. Correct. Yes. All right. Let's go ahead and let's like, my goal is I'm here to serve you. And I'm here to solve the problem, and you canceling it is not going to solve the problem. So let's go ahead and let's readjust this. But I'm back at the table, and back at the table, we can solve the problem. I can't solve the problem of you canceling the policy over the phone. If you're not going to go back out and see him in person, in my opinion, if you're selling over the phone, different story. But if you saw him in person in your local area, if you're not willing to go back out and see him in person, you might as well just not even call him back and just take the charge back, in my personal opinion, if you're not willing to do that.
Makes sense.
Okay, another one. What's something that you do now consistently that you did not do in the beginning that serves you in your business?
Ooh, I like that question. So I didn't recruit at the beginning for like the first 6 months. I really didn't. But what I've learned is like just some little tips and tricks to just kind of ride the momentum wave and like maybe reestablish momentum if you don't really have any at the moment. So like if I have 11 appointments in a day, like my recruiters today is also their dial day. Okay. And so they know the time slots that I'm going to be filling up. They know the time zone that I'm in. So they're going to be also scheduling 11 post-screened interviews. They pre-screen, right? I have an actual interview in between every single one of my appointment slots in like a 30 to 45-minute window, depending on like when I get done with the appointment. Mm-hmm. Right. And so like talk about the heat of battle, the smoke of battle. Sean talks about that all the time. So like you walk into your 8 o'clock and you close them and you help that family, and then you call a recruit up, you're going to be coming at them with a little bit different energy as if that's like your first call of the day, right? Because you already got a win, and then you just got another win. And then like, it's just way easier to get on track if you have a lot of winning opportunities in the same day, because there's 22 right there. Maybe you don't help like 2 or 3 families in the afternoon, but then you're closing some more recruits, like you're still winning.
Awesome. This one's from Candy. Hopeful Hall of Fame producer all over the phone this year. What do you do to keep your mindset on point?
Got to have some stuff to do outside of work. I mean, like exercise a little bit. I mean, that always keeps my mind sharp and fresh. I mean, just doing something for yourself every single day, I think helps a ton.
Okay. Chase, this one's from Chase. Producing at such a high level, how do you avoid the complacency trap and continue to push? How do you avoid feeling like, have I done enough?
Dude, I'm just really scared that if I stop, that this whole thing is going to stop. Right. So I just want to keep going at the same pace and just keep, setting the standard, leading from the front. Until I'm proven otherwise, I'm not going to stop. Or until like Sean says, like, hey, dude, get out of the field. Like, I'm just going to keep going.
Okay. This is a good next question from James. Are you going to continue running in the field at the same rate that you ran last year? Or are you getting busier with the growth of your team?
Yeah. So I definitely cannot do that. That would not be a wise business decision. I mean, really, how like Jamie, you probably had these dial days right from the beginning, right? I mean, that might be like 12, 14-hour dial days, right? But then you stay consistent and they go from like 10 hours, 8 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours, right? It's the same thing in the field. You're going to be more efficient in the field as well. So if I can get everything done that I need to in the field on like a Saturday and a Sunday, like that's it.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. I agree with you. I mean, that's something for me, I talked about a lot where it's like in the beginning, you make up in numbers what you lack in skill. But as you go and you hit Hall of Fame and you sit on 1,500 appointments, you'll start to build up a skill set where you can make up in skill what you lack in numbers. So I can have a bad dial day and I can only set 6 appointments, which is horrible. But if I've done this long enough, I can go close all 6. That's possible, So at the end of the day, when I was brand new, in order to do the production that on average, a lot of Hall of Fame producers are doing in a weekend, it used to take me 4 run days, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. to do that level of production. Now it's able to get done Friday and Saturday by Saturday afternoon. Then I have Saturday evening with my family, Sunday at home, Monday dial for Tuesday if I need to, Wednesday work from home recruiting. So it's possible when you start to just do this over and over and over again, guys, you can get that production, more efficiently, which is what Jake talked about. So as we start to build an agency, I think the most important thing is you need to use the income to drive your agency. We're pouring it all back into the business. So no way are myself, Jake, or any of these Hall of Fame producers who are not yet at integrity going to stop selling. We just learn to become more efficient in the moments that we do sell, so we can continue to drive that engine that is our business. So that's a great question, James. This one's from Al Vomsteeg. What's your personal why that drives you to maintain such discipline and consistency?
Man, a lot of like before the, you know, fear of loss and fear of this thing like slowing down. Cause I mean, Jamie, you know how hard it is to build up momentum, man. And I mean, once you have some momentum, like you do not want to touch it at all or like do anything to back off. But much before that, it's like, you know, I had 12 brothers and sisters growing up, middle America to the max. You know, my dad was a chiropractor, making like 90K a year, right? But that doesn't go super far when you have that many mouths to feed. And I just like saw how much he had to work when he was at work, didn't see him, and then work when he got home, still didn't see him, you know, and taking care of his mother and stuff like that. So I just always wanted to buy back my time and, you know, purchase freedom, just collapse that time frame. And when we do have to like go out and get it, because you're never going to be like as young as you are right now.
Yeah. Today's the oldest you've been and the youngest you'll be. So best time to take actions now, guys. All right. Last couple questions. What are the activities you gained to get momentum within growing your agency?
Man, honestly, it was just kind of what I talked about earlier, like that 11 appointment a day schedule for both recruiting and, you know, in the field appointments, right? I started doing that like this year at this time, or last year at this time, you know, and that really helped us get like a big wave up in momentum, you know, but there's just a compounding effect in action. I don't think it's like necessarily attached to like an end result. So like, it's just like, you know, working out, like if you go to the gym for like a month or whatever, and you look down and you still don't have a six pack, like, you know, what's going to come. Like, you just have to trust that you just got to keep going, you know? So like Jamie, it's probably the same thing with you with, you know, recruiting, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to be at, you know, helping 2,000 families a month, like next month, but I know I will get there. I just got to keep doing what I've been doing.
That's it. All right. Last question. This is the question that we always end on. You know, this is called the road to Hall of Fame. So there's going to be people who start on, you know, they put the destination in their GPS and, you know, it spits out the directions and they start going down the freeway and they get a flat tire. They pull off on the side of the road. You know, their engine catches on fire and they got to get an oil change. You know, there's going to be people who make it all the way to the final destination. There's going to be people who don't make it and they end up, you know, broken down on the side of the road. And, you know, some of the places you can break down on the way to Hall of Fame are still pretty good. But for somebody who says, I'm going to make it to that end destination, no matter what is your final piece of advice for someone who says, I'm going to hit Hall of Fame this year?
Excuses sound best to the person that's making them.
I love it. Short and sweet. Man of a few words, but they're profound, man. So we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. If you guys got some value, go ahead and drop a JK in the comments. Jake, thank you so much, man. I hope everybody has an amazing night. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.